This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, ho there. It's Jeff Carter Devin welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, May the 6th, 1988, a lighthearted moment, if you will, took place. It took place, excuse me, during the Wales Conference Finals, or the Conference Finals, if you will, between the New Jersey Devils and the Boston Bruins. Now, if you think to yourself, the New Jersey Devils were good in the 1980s? Well, not exactly. So the storyline of the New Jersey Devils was that they were once the Kansas City Scouts in 1974, and after a few terrible years, they moved to Colorado to become the Colorado Rockies in 1976. A few years later, and Don Cherry couldn't save the squad, so basically the Rockies moved to New Jersey in 1982 because the owners were from the state of New Jersey. So basically, the state of New Jersey had a hockey team, the Devils, and they had to pay a lot of indemnity payments to Philly, to the Islanders, and to the Rangers. But they still wanted to do it. The Devils were not really that good. In 1984, they were the second worst team in the NHL. They should have been the worst team in the NHL if it wasn't for Pittsburgh tanking to get Mario Lemieux. But would the Devils have taken Mario Lemieux? I don't know. But then again, the Devils took Kirk Muller, who was a decent player for the Devils in the early days. Then the Devils steadily got better. In 1988, on the final day of the season in Chicago, all they had to do was beat the Blackhawks, even in overtime. A tie would not help them no good. And remember, this is before the shootouts came. So the Devils had to beat the Blackhawks to deny the Rangers a place in the 1988 Stanley Cup final playoffs. However, the Devils won on a late goal by John McClain past Darren Pang. Yes, that Darren Pang. And the Devils went to the playoffs. They would shock everyone, including themselves, especially themselves, by taking care of the Islanders and the Capitals on their way to the division championship. So now they would face the other division champ in the conference, Boston. Boston was a dominant team. Ray Bourque was around. Andy Bogue had some goaltending depth. They still had Cam Neely. They had some decent players and all that. And people thought Boston was definitely going to win the conference final and get to the Stanley Cup Finals. New Jersey kind of had other thoughts. However, after Game 3 and a terrible loss for the Devils to Boston, Devils coach Jim Schoenfeld, who used to play for Buffalo and all that, decided to go after referee Don Koharski and yell at him for making some terrible calls. As YouTube videos would suggest, Don Koharski was being yelled at, and then he somehow tripped over the carpet by Boston Garden. And Schoenfeld kept yelling at him. Koharski incorrectly thought that Koharski had pushed him and basically said that Schoenfeld was gone from the league and all that. Schoenfeld didn't believe that and basically yelled at him, "Because you fell, you fat pig. Have another donut. Have another donut." Unfortunately, those comments would basically be troublesome. Worst of all, NHL President John Sigler was nowhere to be found. And basically, the NHL suspended him for Game 4 of the 1988 Conference Finals. So basically, Schoenfeld had to be replaced. However, New Jersey head honchos decided to give him a temporary injunction to coach Game 4. And he did. But the officials were not too pleased with Schoenfeld being behind the bench. So they decided to walk out. The NHL had a problem because they had a Game 4. They had some raucous fans and all that. They couldn't really put the game on to the next night because the Celtics were still playing in the playoffs. So they had to think of something quick. They found 3 off-ice officials and decided to dress them in weird outfits. Basically, they were wearing yellow tops and all that. It's like, what the heck? At least the referee wore the right uniform. Devils won that game. However, John Sigler was soon fouled, and he basically suspended Schoenfeld for Game 5. Momentum was ruined for the Devils. Although the Devils won Game 6 on home ice, they lost Game 7 to the Bruins in the Stanley Cup semifinals. So Boston got to the Stanley Cup finals. They took on Edmonton and got swept by the Edmonton Oilers. Amazing, don't you think? But anyway, yeah, it's a great moment. And I think Wayne's World spoofed Koharski's Donuts or something like that. Koharski would still get people saying, have another donut after this. The Devils would have a terrible period until 1994 when they emerged. But yeah, it's a great moment in playoff history, whether they like it or not. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.